This is Margaret Ann Windsor, the daughter of King Edward VIII and Queen Claudia Ruth O'Keefe Windsor, 1936. My mom was queen and my father king. They should have remained. My father was taken down with character assassination and lies by the Illuminati, the Rockefellers, Rothschilds, Bilderbergers. Joe Kennedy, that's JFK's father, was appointed ambassador, U.S. ambassador to England, 36 when my father became king, and my grandfather died, George VI. Quite simply, history has been a lie. It's controlled by the Illuminati, your press and everything. This is all true that I've been putting up. So where have they been? Anyway, they took my father down with character assassination, and the Church of England was a part of it. Winston Churchill and some others there in the British government, and some of my own family. So George VI was illegal. He helped in my kidnapping. The day I was born, Victoria II, my father had made legal arrangements when he was forced out, and this was legal, that if he had an heir, it would not disinherit. And the day I was born, the minute I took my first breath in 1939, I became the legal heir, Queen Victoria II. So George VI is illegal. The Illuminati promoted him and made him so-called king. Thus, Elizabeth and the whole lineage there are traitors, because they all know they're war criminals, they're illegal. So now I want to get to this. I went through hell, and I've put it up on here, and that's still ongoing, the hell is, and hoping my sons, who are heirs after me, are alive and well, and I get to see them again. They've been through hell just like me because of our name and because of the crooked Illuminati and people involved in some of my own family involved in all this. And they're living quite well. And they all know about me. They know about my mom marrying my dad, a double marrying Wallace Simpson. And with all this going on and rehashing, which is a lie, about my father marrying Wallace Simpson, Elizabeth has stood by, sit by. During the Meghan Markle, she's had every chance to tell the truth, and she's chosen not to do the opposite. She's the part of the head of the Illuminati. In fact, there was just 300 listed of the top people in the Illuminati, and it was by an insider, and it was I put a portion of it up on YouTube and Facebook about a week or 2 weeks ago, and all the royal family were on it, at least most of them, and Elizabeth is up at the top. So she works for the Illuminati, and it became, after all this, it allowed the United Nations to be formed, and that's your front for your Illuminati, your global government. Now I want to get to this. I hope it'll go up. Well, I was in a campaign flown out to Mr. Flint's, and because he was shot by a program shooter. And the plane, the KAL, the doctor I had written about, one of them, he was a U.S. congressman and urologist from Atlanta, Georgia. His name was Larry McDonald. Now, he was members of, Illuminati, all of it. But I had written about him. He was one of the cases in the medical malpractice book. And they almost killed me April Fool Day of 80, and I had a letter from the FBI, 2 of them exact, and all this was still happening to me. I thought it was because of the book at the time. I'm going to skip to the next few years because I can't get all this up. In fact, it just went off a while ago. I'm afraid I don't have time on it, any more space. Anyway, in 83, this same Dr. Larry McDonald, U.S. Congressman, was supposed to be on the KAL that went down August the 31st of 83. And just before liftoff, they took off former President Richard Nixon. He was on the same flight from Juneau, Alaska to Seoul, South Korea. They took him off, and I can't prove this. He may have gone down in the crash, but Dr. Congressman Larry McDonald was on that plane, and that's how I got in the special election. To replace him in '83. He was supposed to have been a passenger on it with the 260 that crashed into the ocean. Therein, I want to relate to you with the Tesla files that were stolen in 30, excuse me. And part of that, it was stolen by the Illuminati. And then they say that Donald Trump's uncle, who was an MIT grad, got a hold of the files, stole them, and then the FBI got a hold of them. But here I am, starting out in 1976, and I was writing about the mind control murders and you can cure an illness or create one, and its connection back to the Tesla files. And there's a lot more in that Tesla files. You should go back and read it if people care, because one day you might. Anyway, now then, to find out that Donald Trump, and I like Donald Trump. I think that he's the best one you've had, and you're not going to get another one like him. I can be wrong. So I'm going to leave it there. I thought it's strange that back in '76, I start doing this book, and I find out about my kidnapping and my real name after I was out at Mr. Flint's in '83 in the campaign. And here it is now, and Trump's president. So, all this gets a little who put it together. Because I couldn't get jobs, and I had things done to me that are so inhuman, just literally stripped of everything and put on the side of the road. I couldn't get a place to stay. I couldn't get jobs. Randomly, I could get a live-in, and randomly I was able to live at one of the shelters in town. But it put me out blank, and the truth, I was penniless, homeless, and not even having clothes. I managed to get a backpack, and I walked, and I walked. And the Appalachian Trail is cold, and nobody helped. They didn't. Dropping off a can of soup you spit in and God knows what else is not helping me. There's a lot of other things happen there, but I wanted to get into this before the video goes off. The old trail, and I've put this up before, the old trail up the Appalachian Trail off Mountain Pass Road, and this is where the Crawfords live, across the street where it begins off Mountain Pass Road. I climbed that for 2 or 3 years and tried living up. Well, I did, up at Full Heart Knob, where the old trail goes up off Mountain Pass. Now then, if you go back around Mountain Pass, one section of it will intersect with Lee Highway, which is right near the Travel Post Office. I'm giving you this as a frame of reference because anybody in the Appalachian Trail that does work on it and everything would know the year, the spring that was finished. It was a section off Mountain Pass near the railroad tracks, Lee Highway, where the post office is. They started it and they finished it in this year, which was probably 94, 95. I don't know, but they could tell you. Plenty of people know it, but the Appalachian Trail would tell you, officials. Now then, I want to go back to when I first started up there in, was it 92? I believe, 92, 93. Okay, in 93 or 94, I had spent the winter up there, and it was spring. I'd frozen, no food. It was spring, and I was standing out in front of Full Heart Knob, the hiker's shelter where I'd been. Up the trail there, the old trail, you got the old and the new, the beginning and the end, or the end and the beginning, whatever. So that's where I'd been climbing up in the snow and the ice and the snakes and the bears and all this. So up comes this couple, men, and I think, my God, that looks like John Kennedy. They got to the top, they had on their backpacks and everything. And I said to him, you look like John Kennedy. He said, well, that's who I am. And I thought, well, maybe he's joking. So they put down their backpacks, pulled out their peanuts and their food and everything. And I'm not going to go into, because quite frankly, some I don't really remember other than I was able to tell him. First of all, he said, we came up to see how we made you live. And so he's always known about my kidnapping, then JFK Jr. with George Magazine. If he's such a good person to come up here and taunt me to my face about it and let me know that his father helped, that's what he was saying. He knew it, helped kidnap me, and they put me in hell over here, and my sons Mark and Scott. And I hope there's a God that can make people pay for what they did to my babies because of who we are. Okay, Jeff K, they didn't offer me any food. Of course, this is how they made me live, on top of a mountain stripped of everything, and you can't even go back to what had been done up to that point. So now then, the person with him was Anthony Raswell, his cousin that was always with him. They were best friends. Remember, JFK had George Magazine. He's so proud of all what they've done to me. Why doesn't he and the press tell it all, and to my father and my children? You know, if they're so proud, spread the news. Don't come up there and taunt me. Anyway, they left. And they went on around the trail where the next, and this is it, the next spring is when the new trail from Mountain Pass, next to the intersection with Lee Highway and the post office, Travel Post Office, up Mountain Pass to the hikers where I was, where the old one leads up off of Mountain Pass. Okay, they finished that new portion of the trail up from Mountain Pass to the hiker's shelter where JFK had been. That was a year ago when he was up there with his cousin. Now then, somebody in this, it's not okay to do this to me. It's not okay, your nasty comments to a lady who thought I was helping people by telling about the mind control murders. And yes, I did know. And yes, I did get letters from the FBI. And then I found out after the campaign and flown out to Flint, who was shot by a program shooter. I was flown out there August the 31st of 83 when the plane, passenger plane, the KAL from Juneau, Alaska, went down it was en route to Seoul, South Korea. Excuse me. I got my nose itches. I'm human, like at least last I looked I was. Anyway, the plane went down, and here's where it was supposed to have had Larry McDonald, the congressman doctor I wrote about, and that's how I became. It was a special election to replace him. So this plane went down, and it was a seasoned pilot. It flew off course 10 miles into Russian airspace, and the Russian MiG shot it down. So 260 passengers died, and they stated that Larry McDonald was on it. Now, they do tell this much. If you depend on the media to tell you the truth, Nixon was taken off. He was ready. He was on the flight and ready to go with Larry McDonald, and he was taken off. Well, now Larry McDonald could have been taken off too, and this is all a fraud. That he is not still alive, but I don't know. But the pilot was under mind control. Now I'm going to get to this. And it's not okay what the Kennedys or any of these people have done to us. No, it's not. And my intent was to tell people about it and about the mind control, because their kid could be on death row who's been programmed like Timothy McVeigh. The military put a chip up him. He died and was put to death for the Oklahoma City bombing. Now I'm going to get to twins were part of all this. And I'm trying to hurry because this went off a while ago. So twins become a part of all this. Twins, I was put down there when I was kidnapped, and Peggy and Carl were murdered by their mother, and the family covered it up. And I was taken there by JFK, personally helped kidnap me. And here's his son. I'm going to skip to this years later now. Shows up on the Appalachian Trail, JFK Jr., telling me we came up to see how we made you live. So they left. And I guess what I'm saying is somebody somewhere still cares about what happened to me, my dad and mom, country, and my children. Now, JFK... So this would have been when he came up the mountain and said that to me, the old trail in spring of, it's more like 93 or 94 or 95. Easy to tell by when the new trail was put there. the next year after. Go back from that date, which would have been what I've just said. So, anyway, okay, JFK died July the 16th, 99. He went down in a plane crash, and his wife, I thought she was a twin, Carolyn. She wasn't, but her sisters were twins, and their name was, and I don't have it here, um, Lauren and I've forgotten the other. One of them went down in the crash with JFK and Carolyn, his wife. So she was a twin. It left one twin alive. Well, I thought I had their names down, but I don't. Anyway, before this goes off, I'm going to keep going here. So then he went down in a crash, and his wife and the twin to the other twin of the family of his wife's. Now then, Anthony Radswell was the best friend that JFK Jr. always had, his buddy. His mother, Anthony Radswell, married into so-called part of and really who she married, the Radswell, I'm not sure he was even a prince or anything, but anyway, must be nice to be able to steal titles and all this and not look at what's inside someone, and steal the monarchy and all this. So Anthony Radswell was the son of JFK Jr.'s mother, Jackie. It was her sister. She married Radswell. I forgot her name, but this is the son of Radswell, Lee Radswell, the sister of JFK Jr.'s mother, and the president's Jackie. Everybody knows who Jackie and JFK were. Well, JFK Jr.'s the son, and he was with his cousin, who is Jackie's sister. Okay, I don't know. I'm not feeling the greatest, and I've been putting this up, and I wonder if it does me any good whatsoever. Anyway, after they made their little trip up there, and I don't know, it was no more than 6 years later that JFK Jr. died on July the 16th, 99, in the plane crash. He flew his plane into the ocean there during the storm. Well, they'll give you a whole version because they're not going to tell you anything about me. Okay, the cousin that was with him, which is Jackie Kennedy, JFK Jr.'s mother. So this would be his aunt, Lee Radswell. Her son, Anthony, was with him that day. They were best friends when they were up on the Appalachian Trail and said this to me. He died 12 days after JFK of cancer. And I think JFK had just broken his leg and taken the cast off prior. So here's where people are going to say, oh, how terrible this happened to JFK Jr. and happened to this person. I wonder what justice is. I did nothing to any of these people. They did it to me and mine. And I don't know, maybe there's somewhere in this world there's payback a little, And I realize what people are going to make out of this. My question being, why? If they were so happy about what they had done to me and my family, why didn't they put it in George Magazine? You know what George Magazine stands for, George Washington. So I'm sure there's other things in there, but I wanted to make a point about the twins, are part of JFK Jr.'s wife, Caroline. She grew up in her family.